Hey everybody, this is Anne St. John, and today we're going to be talking about automatic writing. Automatic writing is how I got started, and that's way back in 2011, I believe. That's when I really started doing mediumship. It's not just that I understood that I was a medium, but I understood that suddenly I was really getting the messages full on in my mind, and it started with opening a doorway, so to speak, through automatic writing. Hi, I'm Anne St. John, and I'm a medium here in St. Augustine, Florida. And this is my dog Willoughby, and this is my dog Willoughby. Come on over here. Join us on all our adventures, the sheepdog and the medium. Automatic writing is a form of channeling. Today, I channel messages spoken through my readings, typing, and of course, many of them are handwritten. That wasn't typical in 2011. It was then that the understanding of it broke through layers of my own disbelief, leading me to some pretty amazing messages. And my first message was from a loved one who needed to be heard. Not surprisingly, it was the message that I needed at that time. I was in a state of shock, as a matter of fact, as I received this message, and I continued to write with my dominant hand as long as I was to let go in my mind that it was no longer my thoughts, and I knew that, so I continued to write. It was as if you were taking notes for someone else, or say if you're in a classroom and a professor's speaking, you would want to take down everything that he's saying. So a type of dictation, as you will. Now, I didn't stop there. I continued to listen. And as it got clearer, I started to hear those same people on the other side were speaking to me through my thoughts. As I was going through this time in my life, as I needed more perspective, Spirit led me down to old, historic St. Augustine. And I sat on a bench in front of the fort, and I decided to start writing. It wasn't long before I had a message, not from my normal guides, friends, and family that have passed on, but this time it was from an Englishman who was a British soldier stationed at the fort back during the days of the Revolution. So we're going to take a drive out to the fort where this all began. Ready, Willoughby? I think he's ready. I live here in lovely St. Augustine, Florida. If you have yet to visit, it's a great getaway filled with history and founded by the Spanish in 1565. Modern day St. Augustine is very entertaining, and if you're interested in the paranormal, some people even say it's haunted. But back on that day in 2015, I did not speak to one of the haunted ghosts. I was speaking to a soul passed on into heaven that used to live in St. Augustine way back in the 1700s. It was his life during the Revolutionary War that he was speaking of. And that's what takes us back to the fort today. Of course I packed your treats. Are you ready? Okay, so here we are back at the fort on this beautiful summer's day. And I want to say it's been a long time since I was here and channeling these messages, but it was well worth it. It was here at the fort entrance, at a bench overlooking the water, that I began to write this letter. Dear Anne, my name is Johnathan. I am a captain of the guard here at the fort. My military career has been extensive, but I feel obliged to say welcome. You spoke to a Spanish soldier before, and I am English. I try to talk in the present tense, but as you know, my career has been over for some time now. I traveled here on duty to secure our lands here. The fort belonged to the English for a while. I was one of the captains. I can tell you more about our side of the military, if you please. When your country was in rebellion, our mission was to maintain the fort as a source of supplies and safe haven to our people. It was a difficult time to be an Englishman. So many of us were appalled at the way the rebel soldiers took offense to the loyalty of King George III. I was not one of them. The Tories would say death before dishonor. But as a soldier and captain, I was bound by duty and honor to uphold a sworn duty. Privately, I was conflicted. I knew of the desperate tactics that fellow Englishmen were using to control the Northern Territory. I personally found it appalling and no honor in their barbaric ways on either side. I wasn't chosen to go into the North to fight, as this port was an important stronghold and must remain in our hands. It was not just these that wanted independence, but also the other countries, French, Spain, and Dutch, that would find us weak here if we all left to fight the revolutionaries. My time here in the fort was short, but I can tell you that when I was here, I was not the happiest person. My wife was overseas. I had children at home. I made a good living here, but my personal duty was to my family. Later, I found my way to Christ, and I learned how to be the man He asked me to be. Whenever I see the fort, it reminds me of the way I once was, lonely and fierce, and tired of the military life. Now that my lifetime is over, I look back at this building. It's crumbling and weak. But in my day, it was indeed a place to be under any enemy fire. Now I see you and other Americans that come here and look aimlessly around. The men that dress in uniform bring some charm, but in all honesty, I wish it were known how lovely the times were, even for us, and the sweet smells of the flowers, and the colonists that were kind. I wasn't the thoughtful man I am now, but I valued my family first, and my honor to the crown second. I wish you well in your journey, and I hope you return someday and remember our talk. Thank you for joining me today, and be at peace. Signed, Johnathan Q. R. You weren't scared, were you? Come on out of there. I'll give you a treat. Come on, if you go, I'll give you another treat. So eventually, automatic writing led me to something called mediumship, and mediumship also gave me the ability to channel, and we'll talk about channeling in another time. I want to thank you guys for joining me here today. It means a lot to me in Willoughby. If you have questions, please be sure to comment below, and like and subscribe, especially for Willoughby. And tune in next time for part 2 for more channeled messages from the fort. Come on over here. Come on over here. That was fun.